Today we'll be covering dining at Universal Orlando Resort and ranking the table service restaurants in the parks and at City Walk. Hello and welcome to the Let's Go to Disney podcast. I'm Oliver.
And I'm Lucy.
Today is Sunday, July 21st, and you're listening to episode 45, Complete Dining Guide for Universal Orlando Resort. Before we get into today's main topic, here's what's going on in the parks right now. In Magic Kingdom, Country Bear Jamboree is officially reopened after its extended closure for its reimagining. The newly reopened attraction features refreshed looks for the bears and completely new songs that reflect much more recent and recognizable music for the younger generation. If you're in the parks this summer, go check out what's new in Frontierland. Still at Magic Kingdom, over at Carousel of Progress, the seats have received a refresh. This is a very welcome update. The old red seats were looking very tired and worn down, and even kind of dirty. This beloved classic attraction now has fresh, new retro-looking seat covers of various colors that look really good. It's nice to see a less popular attraction get some much-needed attention. You remember the last time we were there, we even commented on that. We're like, these need to be replaced.
They feel smelly almost.
Yeah.
Like, which I know that's a silly thing to say, but they feel dirty, smelly.
Yeah,
they just needed some love. Yeah,
exactly. And they got
I love Carousel of Progress, so
100%.
I'm actually really happy that they've given it some TLC.
100%, right? It's a classic. Walt had a hand in that one.
It's a Walt ride.
Exactly. So it got some love, which is awesome to see. Over at Hollywood Studios, Disney is testing a single rider queue for Rise of the Resistance. Single rider queues can be a great time saver if you don't mind being split up from your party. And that's the key point here. You will be split up from your party in exchange for a potentially way shorter wait time. It looks as though you'll be missing out on two ride elements though, the pre-show with Rey and BB-8 and the transport vehicle scene before you're boarded by the First Order. Now, if you're a seasoned Disney vet, that may be acceptable, but if you've never ridden it or don't get to go to Disney very often, this is a big chunk of the experience, like missed, right? If this single rider queue is here to stay, something to keep in mind depending on what's important to you. And still at Hollywood Studios, extended evening hours are returning at this park. Typically, these alternate between Epcot and Magic Kingdom, but beginning on September 25th, there will be extended evening hours at Hollywood Studios as well. Note that these are not offered every evening at every park, so keep an eye on the park schedule to see if any of the extended evening hours dates line up with your trip. Reminder that this is only accessible to guests staying at deluxe resorts or guests staying at Swan and Dolphin, Swan Reserve, or Shades of Green. And friendly reminder that this Wednesday on July 24th, Genie Plus is no more and Lightning Lane Multipass is in. Individual Lightning Lanes become Lightning Lane Single Pass. Guests will start to be able to make bookings for these 7 days in advance of their trip if they're staying on property and 3 days in advance of their first park day if they're staying off property. We'll be keeping a close eye on how this will all roll out, and we'll be reporting on the first few days in next week's episode. I'm very curious to see how it will go and what the initial reactions are going to be.
Absolutely. We actually know a couple that we used to work with. They are leaving in 2 days, so they're going to be there during the switch.
Yeah. And
so it's going to be interesting to see what they say, because they're going to have like 2 days of Genie Plus, and then they're going to have the big change while they're there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to be the thing, right? So if you're there overlapping the change up to July 23rd, you're going to be able to use Genie Plus. Starting July 24th, that's when Lightning Lane Multipass starts. So before the 24th, you won't be able to go and make booking like lightning lanes for the future. That only starts on the 24th. So you can't go on the 23rd and book like into your 7 days. No, that doesn't launch until the 24th. 24th is the very first day that you can do anything related to Multipass. With that said, let's get into today's main topic. Today we'll be covering the highlights of how table service dining works at Universal and how it differs from dining at Disney. We'll also be ranking the table service restaurants at City Walk and the restaurants inside the parks at Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Florida. We'll start off by saying that planning dining at Universal is much less involved and much less stressful than dining at Walt Disney World. It's not that you can't have a relaxed attitude towards dining at Disney, because you certainly can do that. You for sure can go in without much of a plan and grab, quick service food or get in last minute at table service restaurants with walk-up availability on the day of your visit. If that's your style, and if you didn't do research or weren't, aware that reservations can be really competitive, that's okay. It's still doable and you can still have a great trip. But always keeping in mind that when it comes to the most popular dining experiences and restaurants, Walt Disney World, if you don't plan in advance or you don't come in with a strategy, you likely won't be able to experience those places. At Disney, reservations go live 60 days before your check-in day or your dining date, right? 60 days before your dining date, and every day of your trip for up to 10 days if you're staying on property. And again, if you want to dine at those places and don't plan ahead, it's likely not going to happen for you. Not to mention that there's a lot of less than stellar food in Walt Disney World, right? Which obviously you're much more likely to eat if you don't know which places or menu items you should avoid. But on that note, there's a lot of good food and standout locations and menu items. If you want the most bang for your buck and have the best chance at, not being disappointed by the food you're eating, especially at the prices you'll be paying, it's definitely worth doing the research ahead of time.
I completely agree with this 100%. So as for dining at Universal, it's much, much less involved and much less stressful. So for one, you have way less dining options available to you than you do at Disney because there's only a handful of restaurants between Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Florida. There's actually quite a few at City Walk, but nowhere near as many as you would see in Disney Springs. So just by virtue of the smaller number of options, it can definitely make it much easier to narrow down where you would like to dine. And on top of that, you don't have to worry so much about booking windows and booking super far in advance like you do with Disney. Reservations are available for much longer, are easier to come by, and the entire dining environment is just way less competitive, which makes for a much more pleasant experience when it comes to the planning perspective, in our opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Like 100%. I don't feel nearly as stressed when we're planning Disney for Universal than when we're planning it for Disney.
Absolutely.
And it's just by virtue of how it's all set up.
And it always goes very well when we do our 60-day out dining reservations at Disney, but it is stressful leading up to that moment.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. So key point here is that not all restaurants at Universal Orlando are owned and operated by Universal. Therefore, making reservations can be different depending on the location. Most of the restaurants are available to make reservations up to 6 months in advance, but you definitely don't need to do it that far in advance. Really, you'd probably be okay most of the time to make your reservations at about a week or so, ahead of your trip. But if you have specific restaurants in mind that you really want to book, we recommend doing so, 1 to 2 months in advance, and you'll still find plenty of available times. And if you didn't make a reservation for a restaurant you want to try during your trip, you could walk up and get on a wait list, which the vast majority of the locations will offer that, right? So it's not like all is lost. Mm-hmm. And I find it's easier to do that at Universal than it is to do at Disney.
We've done it many times.
Yep, agreed. During the busiest times, of course, this can be challenging because you can face a lengthy wait, but if you're willing to wait, definitely a good option to keep in mind. Many of the restaurants on property can be booked via the Universal website or the Universal Orlando Resort mobile app, which you should definitely download. But it's not as all-encompassing as the My Disney Experience app at Disney, but it still has some useful features, and making dining reservations is one of them. If the restaurant you're looking to book can't be reserved via Universal, there's a couple of places that you'll be able to book via a third-party service like OpenTable. Also, if you're staying at one of the Universal Orlando Resort area premier resorts, like Lowe's Royal Pacific, Portofino Bay, or the Hard Rock, you'll have priority seating on the walk-up waitlist. Although it's not immediate like a reservation, although it can be, you would face for sure a lower wait though. Like it guarantees you to wait a less amount of time than what the standard wait would be.
Absolutely.
Having said that, we wouldn't bank on this. If you really have your heart set on a specific location, we'd still opt to make a reservation in advance just to be safe. Of note, one of our favorite places to eat at Universal is Bubba Gum Shrimp, which doesn't take reservations on the Universal app, their own website, or OpenTable. So really what it boils down to for Universal is just do a little research, right? Pick where you'd like to eat, make reservations on whatever system they accept reservations on, and away you go. Again, you don't need to do this super far in advance and not all at once. That's the big difference between the 60-day window at Disney and Universal's dining booking system.
Absolutely. So with that said, we're going to go over the different table service options that you're going to find at City Walk, Islands of Adventure, and Universal Studios Florida. And we're going to rank those from worst to best so that you can kind of get an idea of what's available at these restaurants. And from there, you can narrow down your own list of places that you may want to prioritize during your trip. So we're going to kick things off on the Universal Studios Florida side. Quick note that when you're making a reservation and dining inside a park, just like at Disney, you are going to have a park ticket. And there are actually only 2 table service restaurants inside this park. Up first and number 2 in this park is Finnegan's Bar and Grill. This restaurant is located across from Revenge of the Mummy attraction. This is an Irish-American style pub restaurant, and inside you'll find a darker setting with a dark wood bar and a long table, as well as other small configurative table settings. There will sometimes be live music playing in this restaurant as well. This restaurant is apparently themed to the 1978 film The Brinks Job, which is based on the Brinks robbery of 1950. The menu has some good options, and it's got the typical Irish pub offerings that you'd expect to find on the menu. So for appetizers, they have a few options, but the standout is the Guinness warm 3 cheese dip served with freshly baked pretzel sticks and Guinness cheese dip, which is kind of heavy on a hot day, but still really tasty nonetheless.
Yeah, agreed, 100%.
So they also have soup and salad options. And for the entrees, they have fish and chips, which are pretty good, bangers and mash, Newcastle Irish chicken, among a few other options, as well as some handheld options like burgers and sandwiches. So, of course, they have beer on tap as well. It's an Irish pub.
Yep.
Many whiskeys and scotch options, as well as other drinks and cocktail options. And for the kids menu, they have chicken tenders, burgers, and a salmon option. You can make reservations for this restaurant on the Universal Orlando Resort website for this location.
Yep. Next up, at number 1 in this park, again, there's only 2, right? So it's Lombard's Seafood Grill. So this one is located on the water, almost directly across from the King's Cross station, over where you would take the Hogwarts Express, like from the London side, heading to Islands of Adventure, right?
Yes.
It's literally almost directly across from there. This waterfront nautical themed restaurant serves delicious seafood, but also has many other non-seafood options if you prefer. Inside, in the center of the dining room, is a large aquarium, and the space has large arches with what looks like kind of portholes. Think like the inside of a cruise ship. There's lots of seating available in a whole second level as well, so it's generally not overly difficult to find seating here. The menu has some good options that should please most guests. For appetizers, the Monterey garlic shrimp as well as the spinach and artichoke dip are standouts. They have a few soup and salad options, and for entrees, they have fish and chips, which are decent, and a Bayou shrimp dish with shrimp, andouille sausage, and corn that's tasty as well. They have some handheld options like burgers as well as some chicken and steak options if you're not a big fan of seafood. They have a varied drink, beer, and wine menu, and for kids, they have pasta, grilled chicken, or a burger option. You can also book reservations on the Universal Orlando website or app for this location.
All right, so switching parks here, we're going to head over to Islands of Adventure. Similarly to Universal Studios Florida, it also only has 2 table service options, with the caveat that they do have a rotating character buffet that we're going to cover in just a minute. So at our number 2 ranking of the 2 restaurants, we've got Confisco Grill. This restaurant is not far from the entrance of the park, to the right of the incredible Hulk coaster when you're facing the back of the park. This restaurant kind of has a fun adventure theme, but its intended theming is a customs house which houses several smuggled goods. Inside, you're going to find exposed wood beams, Spanish-style archways, sandstone walls, and artifacts and prop pieces from different lands in the park. There's a lot of seating here as well, and a second story. The menu has many, many different options and styles of cuisine that should actually please everyone in your party. On the menu, you're going to find items that are inspired by Asian, Mediterranean, Greek, among other cuisines. So for appetizers, the dueling hummus and spinach and artichoke dip are really good shareable options. They have some soup and salad options as well. And for entrees, you're going to find a variety of options. Sticky ribs, chicken, pad thai, Korean rice bowl, among many others. You're definitely going to be able to find something for everybody.
Yeah, they have an eclectic menu.
Absolutely. I kind of like that
want.
about that restaurant. They also have the handheld sandwiches, burgers, and wrapped options. They have a number of specialty cocktails, and on the kids menu, they have penne, mac and cheese, burger, chicken tenders, or grilled cheese. So good options for the kids as well. Reservations can be made on the Universal Orlando website.
And at number 1, we'd rank it at number 1 across the 2 parks, right? So not just Islands of Adventure, like really it's number 1 overall for us. And that's Mythos Restaurant over in the Lost Continent area that is sandwiched between the Wizarding World and Seuss Landing. This restaurant has won like a bunch of awards for like best theme park food. It's recognized.
It's delicious.
Yeah, it's legit.
I can't say it enough. It's delicious.
Yeah, by like theme park standards, it's like above.
It's above.
Yeah, it's above
a theme
and beyond.
park standard.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this restaurant is themed as though you're walking into like a grotto or a cave.
They did well on that too.
100%,
I just wanted to say that. Like,
it's super well themed.
It's not just like a fake version. You actually kind of feel like you're in a cave. It's very cool.
Like it's on par with Disney in terms of like the design effort that went into it.
Imagineering that went into it.
Exactly. It's not Imagineers, but they did a really good job. So the interior literally looks like you're eating inside of a cave, but not in a bad way, right? It's not like dingy or dark. It's like actually pretty bright in there. The rock formations kind of divide the different areas, and there's like colored lights along the outside walls that just brighten up the space. Despite the cave-like setting, it's not dark or dingy, like I said. It's really well themed, and it's a fun atmosphere to dine in. On the menu, you're going to find items from Mediterranean, Asian, and American cuisine, and there's some really solid options on this menu. For appetizers, they have a roasted beet or lemon hummus, as well as spanakopita that is really delicious. They have soups and salads on the menu as well. For entrees, they have several tasty options. Okay, so the brick oven roasted chicken, that's what I had last time. It was delicious. We definitely recommend. The spinach and garlic ravioli, also good. Bone-in pork chop, you had that one last time.
Oh, to die for. It was so good.
Yeah, I had a bite. It was delicious as well. They have pad thai, among many other options. They have some handheld sandwich and burger options as well, and some fun specialty cocktails that are kind of themed to the space. For kids, they have penne, grilled cheese, burger, beef skewer, chicken fingers, or pizza. So lots of kids options on their menu as well. This is by far our favorite, like we said, right? Table service restaurant in the parks at Universal Orlando. You can make reservations right from the Universal website or app for this one.
And lastly, still for the parks on the Islands of Adventure side, there's actually a character dining experience at Cafe 4. Now, Cafe 4 most of the time is a quick service restaurant that serves your typical theme park food, but on select nights, it becomes a character dining experience where you can actually meet and greet with Captain America, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, and Rogue. So a pretty good character setup there.
Yeah, exactly.
The menu is a buffet with standard American style options that are sure to please most guests. It's usually offered on Thursday to Sunday evenings, and it must be booked in advance. So there is no walk up for this experience. And being a character meal, it is definitely more on the expensive side, looking at about $56 for adults and $31 for children. We've actually never done this one before, but if you have superhero fans in your party, it could definitely be worth it to kill two birds with one stone and all you can eat meal and have some FaceTime with the characters.
Yeah, agreed 100%. And again, like there's some characters that you don't normally see, right?
No, for sure. Like Cyclops, you'd probably with Storm.
Yeah, or Rogue. Yep, exactly. And that does it for the table service restaurants in the parks. Like we said a little earlier, if you intend to eat in the parks or if you want to try one of these places, there are really not that many. So it's quite easy to narrow down or decide, are we going to eat in the parks or are we going to eat at City Walk or somewhere else? And on that note, let's get into the table service restaurants and our rankings for the City Walk restaurants. This is where we will eat on our chips the vast majority of the time, and usually much later than we dine at Disney. So we'll typically do our park day, go hard for most of the day, if not all of the day. And then when we're ready to leave, we'll get refreshed and head into City Walk for a relaxed dinner.
Yeah.
So we count 11 traditional standard table service or sit-down restaurants at City Walk. Coming in at number 11, we're slotting Bob Marley, A Tribute to Freedom. This restaurant is a replica of Bob Marley's home in Kingston, Jamaica. The space features photos, artifacts, and memorabilia from his career. The bar features bright colors and light-colored wood. It's an open-air restaurant that has a courtyard, kind of like an interior courtyard with outdoor seating. During the evening, there's live reggae music and a DJ in the courtyard that are kind of spinning tunes. The menu is Caribbean-style food, and on the appetizer menu, you're going to find, jerk wings, mango wings, chips and salsa, among other options. They have a couple of salad options for entrees, and they have jerk chicken, beef patties, curry goat stew, among many, many others, as well as a few kind of surf more fish options. On the drink menu, of course, there's a ton of Caribbean flavored cocktails, right? Like everything you could imagine.
Pina coladas, all that kind of good stuff.
Exactly. As well as beer and wine options, right? So for kids, they have chicken tenders, mac and cheese, and veggie or beef patties. So you should be able to find something for the kids that they'll eat there. This place isn't bad, but the food is just okay in our opinion. It can be worth a visit if you like the atmosphere, you think you'd like the atmosphere, or if you're a huge Bob Marley fan.
Yeah. Coming in at number 10 is Pat O'Brien's. This restaurant is reminiscent of Bourbon Street, New Orleans. The inside has exposed brick, colorful lighting, and features two pianos that host two talented performers. It can get dark and loud in here, and it's a party. There's no doubt about it. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy, you can definitely have a blast here. But if not, if you prefer a little quiet, it can definitely be less pleasant if you're looking for that quiet, subdued atmosphere after a long, hot park day.
Which we totally get.
Absolutely. The menu features Cajun specialties that are sure to please. For appetizers, they have Cajun crawfish dip, biscuits and gravy, blackened chicken nachos, and they also have gumbo and a blackened chicken Caesar salad. For entrees, they have jambalaya, Creole chicken, Cajun shrimp and grits, among other options. I love that kind of food, so that for me is definitely a win.
Yep.
They also have the Bayou burger and a chicken, beef, or shrimp po' boy. So for the kids' menus, they have grilled chicken, grilled shrimp, mac and cheese, chicken fingers, or a cheeseburger. They definitely have a wide selection of tasty cocktails along with beer and wine options. We wouldn't take our kids here. They're a bit young and we don't think they'd like the atmosphere very much. But having said that, if you have older kids who don't mind loud settings, they should do fine here. And you can make reservations via the Universal's booking system.
Yep. And at number 9, we're slotting NBC Sports Grill and Brew. So this restaurant is themed to, you guessed it, NBC Sports. In terms of theming, it's really just a sports bar, right? But on a massive scale. There are over 100 televisions in the restaurant, tons of seating at the bar, and it's just wide open, right? It's bright in there. On the menu, it's pub food, okay? So nothing to write home about here, but there's definitely some good options that will appeal to a wide audience. So for appetizers, they have things like nachos, flatbreads, artichoke and spinach dip, large, warm, soft pretzel served with jalapeno queso and mustard, among many other options. They have a really large menu. Think of a ton of different burger options, salads, wings, sandwiches, chicken, steak, pasta, among way other more options. It's just They have an extensive menu.
It's almost overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. You're almost sure to find something that you'd enjoy here, and everybody in your party should as well. For kids, they have sliders, chicken fingers, mac and cheese, veggie pasta, grilled chicken, or flatbread. They have specialty cocktails as well, and over 100 types of beer on tap or bottle. This place isn't bad by any means. It's essentially just a sports bar, but on a massive scale. You can definitely have a good meal here and good drinks as well. Reservations can be made on the Universal website and app.
Coming in at number 8 is Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville. This restaurant is themed, obviously, to Jimmy Buffett's songs. And inside the space is massive with bright colors, and it's a very relaxed feel. The walls are painted to the island backdrop. There are palm trees, a large airplane hanging from the ceiling, and a volcano at the bar. There's an indoor and outdoor seating area here, and there's live music playing Jimmy Buffett covers, rock hits, or island music. On the menu, you're going to find accessible options with heaping portions. So for appetizers, there's onion rings, guacamole, Asiago crab, and artichoke dip, the massive volcano nachos, among others. They also have a handful of soup and salad options. And for the entrees, there's the pineapple chimichurri chicken, crispy coconut shrimp, fish tacos, salmon, pasta, steak, among many other options. They also have about a dozen or so handheld options, such as like the burgers and the sandwiches and wraps. They have an extensive cocktail menu, and as you may have guessed, many, many margarita options.
Yeah, that's the
you
highlight
will not
here.
be disappointed
Yep.
in the margarita options
Yep.
here. For kids, there's cheeseburgers, shrimp dish, pasta, chicken strips, fish and chips, or mac and cheese. It's a good time at this restaurant, but the food is nothing really to write home about. But you can book this one on the Universal booking system as well.
Yep, 100%. So at number 7, we're placing Hard Rock Cafe Orlando. So if you've eaten at a Hard Rock Cafe before, you know just what to expect, right? But having said that, it is the largest Hard Rock location in all the world. If you've never been, Hard Rock is themed to music, right? So inside the space, you've got like music memorabilia kind of spread out everywhere, lining the walls. Above the large circular bar here, there's a car hanging from the ceiling in this location. And of course, there's always some tunes playing in this restaurant. As for the food, they have a huge menu here. So think again, pub style food. For appetizers, they have nachos, wings, sliders, among other options. They have soups, salads. For entrees, a ton of burger and sandwich options. They have bowls and other entrees like steaks, fajitas, fish, among many, many, many others. Again, there's something for everyone on the menu here. They have a large kids menu as well. So burger, chicken fingers, hot dogs, grilled chicken, salad, among other options. For drinks, they have specialty cocktails, beer on tap. Lots of people like Hard Rock and like to eat in all of the locations kind of spread out over the country and beyond. It's a popular spot for sure. Reservations aren't available on the Universal website and app, but you can book it through Open Table's website or app. So something to keep in mind there.
Coming in at number 6 is Vivo Italian Kitchen. This restaurant looks sleek and modern with light-colored wood accents, a large bar with a heavy emphasis on wine. It is an Italian restaurant.
Yep.
This restaurant definitely feels and looks more upscale than the other locations on this list, and it's definitely a good atmosphere for a date night. For appetizers, they have good charcuterie boards, calamari, fried ricotta, meatballs, among a couple of other options. They have pizza options as well that are made fresh in a wood stove and are super delicious. They have a few soup and salad options to choose from as well. But now for the entrees, they have many pasta options
as you would expect.
Yeah, exactly. The pastas here are made fresh in-house and they are absolutely delicious. Like this isn't just your store-bought pasta. This is fresh stuff.
Exactly.
Every time. So aside from that, they also have fish, steak, chicken, among other options. The food is actually really good here. Definitely worth your time and money. They have some really stellar options. For drinks, they have obviously an extensive wine list, as well as specialty cocktails and beer as well, if wine is not your thing. And on the kids' menu, they have spaghetti, cheese or pepperoni pizza, meatball sandwich, grilled chicken, or shrimp skewers. So you can make reservations on the Universal website or app.
Yep, exactly. At number 5, we're going to slide in Big Fire. So this restaurant's claim to fame is Fire Kiss Foods. The interior is not overly themed to much of anything, right? It has wood floors, walls, and wood tables in a big, bright, and airy space. They have a second level with more seating. The last time we ate here, we ate upstairs, and we had a great view of City Walk and the entrance of Islands of Adventure.
That's true.
It was actually quite nice
there. It was
there.
very nice up there.
For appetizers here, you're going to find bourbon cheese fondue, corn fritters, oven roasted artichoke dip, among a few other options. You'll also find a few soups and salads, including chili. For entrees, you have a few steak cuts, along with chicken, shrimp, pork chops, salmon, among a few other options as well. Again, all cooked over flame. They actually use different woods here to give different smoky tastes depending on what you order. I don't know if it actually makes a difference, but
yeah,
we like the food we ate here,
absolutely.
right? So they also have a few handheld options like sandwiches. For drinks, they have a few different takes on old fashions, as well as an extensive list of whiskey, bourbon, and rye. They also have several cocktails, beer, and wine options. For kids, they have sliders, chicken fingers, mac and cheese, steak, chicken, or beef skewers. And for dessert, they have a popular tableside s'mores where they're actually going to bring you like a small grate with flame to roast your own s'mores. It's expensive for what you get, right? But it's a fun novelty thing.
Yeah, if you had your kids with you, like that would be a fun treat for them.
It would be a big hit for sure. We like it here, right? The food is a touch expensive for what you get, but it's all tasty. You can make reservations for this place via the universal booking system.
At number 4, we're slotting the Toothsome Chocolate Emporium and Savory Chicken Feast. This is probably the most unique place on this list, and looking at it from the outside, we're actually sure you'd probably agree with us. Located in between the entrance to the parks, right next to the Hard Rock Hotel and Restaurant, is this restaurant. The outside actually kind of looks like an industrial factory, but with a more whimsical flair than an actual factory. The theming is like a steampunk 19th century Jules Verne type theming that is truly unique. The staff here have the outfits to match the theming, and the interior space is kind of hard to describe, but it feels like something out of a movie. It's really cool. It's definitely worth eating here just to say you've been in and you checked out the place. On the menu, you're going to find classic options with some fun twists, and there are some really good food options here. For appetizers, they have truffle fries, avocado bruschetta, crab and artichoke dip, kettle chip nachos, among many other options. They also have a few salad options and a French onion soup that's really good. They have flatbreads, burgers, sandwiches, pasta, steak, shrimp, chicken. They have a really large menu that, again, will be sure to please everyone in your party. For kids, they have burgers, chicken fingers, chicken and rice, waffles, and pasta. Now, as the name implies, they definitely have a serious dessert menu, so make sure you leave some room for that.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. If you're going here, you got to have dessert.
You got to have some chocolate of some sort.
Yep.
They have a ton of delicious milkshake options with some fun twists, a ton of sundaes, and a few other sweet options as well. We definitely recommend a stop here, especially if you have your littles with you. It's just a really fun experience. And you can make reservations on the Universal Booking app for this one.
Yeah, 100%. This place is really fun. It's one of the more themed restaurants at City Walk, if not the most, right? Yep. And it's worth it just for that. Job. Yeah, 100%. Number 3 is the Cowfish Sushi Burger Bar. So this is another more unique location than some of the others on this list. So this restaurant has pops of color, large pieces of pop art all over the walls, and partitions that look like fish scales. There are also touchscreens with fish games for the kids as well, which I think is a nice touch if you have little travelers with you.
Keeps them busy.
Yep, exactly. There are upper floors here, so second and third stories that offer great views of City Walk and, kind of the area. The menu here is a one-of-a-kind blend between two beloved foods, burgers and sushi. Here you can enjoy sushi, burgers, or dishes that combine the two so that you can enjoy the best of both worlds. For appetizers, you're going to find crab rangoon dip, spicy togarashi shrimp, Parmesan bacon truffle fries, blackened tuna nachos, among other options. There's a handful of salad and bowl options as well. You can order sushi rolls like California, Philly, spicy, crunchy, spicy tuna and veggies. They really have a lot of them. There's also a wide variety of fusion rolls with what they call burgushi, right? So like a mix between like burger condiments and like sushi rolls. So they'll have ones that like tuna rolls, which are, tuna rolls with typical and not so typical burger fillings. So for example, they have a buffalo chicken burgushi with shredded buffalo chicken, jalapeno cream cheese, coated with panko and flash fried, topped with applewood smoked bacon and blue cheese.
That's unique.
Yeah, 100%, right? So, and then they have a ton of burgers, right? So they have several savory options as well with like fun and unique ingredients, like avocado and boursin cheese. But they also have more traditional burger offerings if you're, wanting something more traditional. Mm-hmm. For kids, they have accessible sushi options as well as chicken nuggets, grilled cheese, and mac and cheese. For drinks, they have specialty cocktails as well as cold and warm sake. For dessert, they have some really delicious hand-spun milkshakes here that are made in-house. And as far as drinks go, they have spiked milkshakes as well. Like they'll make essentially those milkshakes into boozy milkshakes. And then you have specialty cocktails, beer, and wine. This one can be booked via the universal booking system. And if you were at Disney before, or you've had several back-to-back park days, this is a fun, different place to try.
I would agree, yeah. All right, and at number 2, we have Antojitos Authentic Mexican Food. The restaurant has bright watercolor all over the front facade with bright blue, green, red, and yellow. The inside of the restaurant is massive. It's wide open with second floor seating. There are bright neon lights that gives that interior space a colorful hue as well. And on the menu, it's really fresh and tasty Mexican food. We love Mexican food. It's one of our favorites. So this is definitely a hit for us. They're going to bring you still warm chips and salsa for the table, which are as good as you're imagining. Yeah, everybody loves a good chips and salsa.
Exactly, especially like warm, taco
with
chips.
With cold salsa, it's perfect.
100%. Let's go.
Absolutely. For appetizers, they have empanadas, shrimp tostada, nachos, queso fundido. We recommend the tableside guacamole, which is absolutely delicious and made fresh right before your eyes. so good.
Yep.
They have a couple of soup and salad options here as well. And for entrees, they have delicious Mexican classics like tostada, burritos, chimichangas, quesadillas, chile relleno, among a few other options. They also have several fajita, enchilada, and taco options as well. We don't always have dessert, but they actually serve churros here with Nutella to dip. So, I mean, are you kidding me? How do you say no to that?
Yeah, 100%.
Churros and Nutella? Yes, please.
Yeah, exactly. They had me at Nutella. Well, they had me at churros. But
yeah, absolutely. They had you at both for sure. For drinks, they have several delicious handcrafted cocktails and an extensive tequila menu as well. They also have several beer and wine options. This is definitely one of our favorite places to eat at City Walk. We love the atmosphere and the food is consistently great.
Consistently. Every time we go there, we have a great meal. It's always a good atmosphere. We always have a good time. The service is always phenomenal. Yeah, we definitely recommend this one.
Absolutely.
And last, but certainly not least, coming in at number 1, a surprise to no one, but maybe a surprise because I don't know if we've talked about it before, but that's bubblegum shrimp. Okay. So now we know this is not unique to Universal Orlando. These can be found kind of all over. We've actually eaten at a few of these, in Orlando, New York, West Edmonton Mall in Canada, and London, like UK. We absolutely love this restaurant. The food is always stellar. The experience is fun. The waitstaff is a riot, and we're Forrest Gump fans, so it's a win all around any way you slice it. This restaurant is inspired by the bubblegum shrimp company referenced in Forrest Gump, the movie, right? So the restaurant has nods to the movie all around, and the waitstaff, is going to challenge you with some Forrest Gump trivia.
And they're hard questions. You think you know the movie until they start to ask you the questions.
Exactly.
Like, oh,
yeah, they've stumped us a couple times for sure. The menu is extensive and delicious and features Southern comfort food, right? So for appetizers, they have peel and eat shrimp, spinach artichoke and cheese dip, as well as bang bang shrimp, which is beer battered shrimp in a spicy sauce. Those last two, right? So the spinach artichoke dip and the bang bang shrimp are go-tos. Super good, both of them. Good. They have a handful of soup and salad options. And for entrees from the sea, they have jambalaya, which I always get. It's delicious there. Crab shrimp boil is really good. Fish and chips are good. Shrimp New Orleans, among a few other options.
Yeah, I always get the shrimp New Orleans. It never disappoints. It's so delicious.
100%. I always have bites of hers and it's really good. Yeah. From the farm, they have, non-fishy options if you prefer not to, right? So they have ribs, fried chicken, steak, as well as some other surf and turf options to combine the two. They also have some handheld burger and sandwich options. And for drinks, they have some fun themed cocktails. And for the kids, it's chicken strips, mini corn dogs, cheeseburger, popcorn shrimp, ribs, fish sticks, mac and cheese, elbow pasta, or pizza. So they have like a lot of options for the kids as well. One of my favorite features that we'll just mention quickly of this place is like they have this license plate at the table, and they have a blue run force run and a red stop force stop. And essentially, if you want your wait staff to stop because you want another glass of water or whatever the case is, you flip it to the stop force stop, they'll stop. And when you leave it on run force run, they'll just go by.
They'll leave you alone. Yeah,
exactly. Which I think is fun. So like we said at the start, you can't make reservations on the Universal booking system for this, or Open Table, or on their website, right? So you kind of have to walk up on the day of.
You do, yeah.
If you are staying in a premier resort, you will get priority waitlist seating. So make sure to mention that if you're staying at one of those premier resort. It's a big restaurant though, okay? So we've never had issues walking up here and getting in, even during busier times like, spring break. But like we said, consistently good. We love the food here. We love the theming, pretty much everything about it. It's a must do for us every single trip.
Every trip, yeah. Now, with that being said, that's the available traditional table service restaurants at Islands of Adventure, Universal Studios Florida, and City Walk. There are a few other options in the resorts that we can touch on in a future episode. Like we always say, when we do a rankings episode, it's super subjective. So you may totally disagree with us, and that's 100% okay.
Yeah, 100%.
To each his own. Yeah,
100%, right? Everybody has their places that they like to eat or specific foods that they like to eat. So, some of this might resonate with you that, that sounds really good. I want to try that.
Absolutely.
Or you might want to try somewhere else, and that's totally okay.
Absolutely.
So like we said at the start of the episode, we like planning our dining for Universal because when compared to Disney, it just feels like way more relaxed and easy, right? We don't have to be quite as meticulous when it comes to planning. We don't usually book it all at once either, right? So we kind of book it as we go, as our trip starts to get closer and we firm up our general, day-to-day itinerary. That's when we're going to book. And like we saw, there's lots to get excited about when it comes to food at Universal because while there's fewer options that are available at Disney World, you still have some solid options with good theming and great food. And just like Disney, we don't recommend doing more than one table service restaurant in a day for the same reasons, right? Because one, it's a huge time suck and it can get expensive really quickly, right? A better vacation strategy overall is likely to do some quick service meals, bring in snacks if you'd like to do that, and sprinkle in some table service restaurants to break up the quicker meals and have a nice sit down and some AC.
Absolutely. Hopefully this gives you guys a good idea of what's available in terms of sit down dining options around the resort and will ultimately help you narrow down where you would like to eat during your next trip. With that said, thank you so much for joining us today to cover dining at Universal Orlando Resorts. Like we said before, we are passionate about foods in the theme parks. We believe in having good food experiences.
Yep, agreed.
Too many times we've heard people say that they were so disappointed with their dining experiences during their trip, and it does not have to be like that, we promise. With a little bit of digging, a little bit of research, you can definitely have many great dining experiences and lots of good, tasty food and drinks during your trip.
Yeah, 100%. With that said, if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you could drop us a rating and review, it would be greatly appreciated. It means so much to us to see your comments and feedback. And yeah, we love to see it.
Absolutely. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at letsgo.to-disney, as well as on our Facebook page, Let's Go to Disney, where we share more tips and have fun too.
Have a great day, and we'll see you real soon.